Welcome to a muzzle chat. Hope everyone's having a lovely weekend. I actually have a guest from Canada on today. Her name's Roxanne, and she's just coming on to share her story, some of her life battles. She is a Lyme warrior amongst just kind of facing a lot of the battles life tends to throw at us, but she attributes a lot of breakthrough with a product I'm personally not that familiarized with. So I'm excited to get some of the details from her and just hopefully lead to something that could benefit me, but more importantly, a lot of us. So with that being said, Roxanne, welcome to a muzzle chat. How are you today?
I'm fabulous. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good. Thank you. It always feels so good and so blessed to come out of like the wilderness, right? Like the struggle. And when the quality of life just starts coming back, I mean, man, it is worth fighting for your health.
Oh, yes, it sure is. Every ounce of it, everything that you put into it, put it all you got into it. And life is much better when you're not living in chronic pain and illness all the time. It is so much sweeter.
Yeah, I mean, we know how debilitating Lyme disease is and how freaking challenging it has become to overcome due to uneducated in the medical field, like public knowledge. We often, like we were just talking pre-interview, like often even from family and friends and those around us, make it out to be like ourselves to be the issue. And I mean, I suppose to an extent I can understand that when we don't understand what these individuals are facing. And there's nothing woo woo about it. Like there's a legit spirochete fibrous substance thing that infiltrates the body with all these different co-infections, with all these horrific like co-infections that just wreak havoc on the mind, the body. I mean, pretty much every aspect of life.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So with that, I mean, tell us about yourself, and like you can start where you want, like your journey, like where do you suppose, I don't know if you had encounters with ticks or mosquitoes or inoculations or something that might have led to this, and a bit about how you honed in on it, and yeah, everything. We want to know it all, Roxanne.
I will try to give it all to you. And I do believe in full disclosure, so I'll try to not bore you, but try to give you as much as I can as well. Okay. So I consider myself extremely, extremely lucky because I found my tick, even though it totally creeps me out and I hate the whole thought of it. And even just, I couldn't even look at it actually when we found it. It was just in the back of my head. I guess when we wear ponytails a lot as girls or as women, they just know the right spots to go to, right, to get hidden and stuff. So I have actually no idea how long it was there, but I did find it and it was engorged and stuff. So I didn't send it out for testing or keeping it. I should have. I've grown up in Manitoba, so we've grown up with ticks, and like it's just a daily part of summer or life here, right? So you go out, you check yourself as you come in, and then hopefully you find them and everything's all good. So we found the tick, disposed of it, and then it was like about 3 days later where I started feeling just off. Not
Mm.
like super crazy or anything, but off, like not right. So, like swollen lymph nodes, like the fever, the aches, the headaches, and stuff like that. So then I went to seek medical attention. And like I said, our protocol here in Manitoba, when Lyme is considered, they don't typically start with testing or anything like that. They just, and especially if it's like a recent infection, they'll just go ahead and do the protocol right away, which is to do the 2 weeks of doxycycline. Or
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but anyways, so you do 2 weeks of that, and then you're considered healed for life, and all is well, right?
Right.
Um, so we all know that's a lie. But I do know some people who have undergone the protocol and the treatment and the doxy and have, been okay or
It's
relatively
Mhm.
okay, right?
It's typically when someone gets in early enough, in this disease or bioweapon, whatever you want to identify it as, is still within the bloodstream. It seems that the pharmaceutical is strong enough to kind of just kill it off when it's within the bloodstream. But once it starts burrowing into tissue and other places of the body, these antibiotics don't really have the impact they need to eradicate it.
Oh, agree. But then when you think about it, I was within 3 days of finding the tick. Like I should have been one of those people where this
How
works,
quick
you know?
were you on the actual antibiotic doxycycline?
Oh, it was like the 3 days. I went into the
Wow.
ER. I
And
got
it was
my
just
meds.
two
I got my
weeks.
prescription for antibiotics. I filled them right away. I started those things like right away. Yeah, I
Wow.
didn't wait. So I typically, I should be, it should have worked for me. It
Wow.
should have been okay. Excuse me. But then it was during the course of that first round of antibiotics where I was like getting some crazy, crazy pains in my hands and stuff, like lightning bolts. It was
Mm.
just like it would stop me in my tracks. Like I would be walking and I would have to stop because of the pain. It was just such a weird sensation too. I know that's a lot of the things with Lyme as well too. A lot of our symptoms just sound kind of strange to a lot of people, right? A lot of them are neurological and
Yes.
they're just strange, right? But that was definitely one, like it stopped me in my tracks. I was like, this is kind of weird, right?
Mm.
But like I said before too, I am a healthcare professional, or I was for 15 years. So I did what I was told. I finished the course and I was not better.
Mm.
The shooting pain wasn't constant. Like it stopped when I took the antibiotics, but I just still felt super off. And then my left-sided pain started. So that's like that. This is like the beginning of my neurological symptoms.
Mm.
So I like the left side of my body was completely numb and tingly, and it was just, you know, that pins and needles, like when your foot falls asleep, but it was like
Yeah.
that, but my whole entire left side of my body, and it was so weird. So I had just moved to Manitoba from a different province in Canada, from Alberta. So I didn't have a family doctor yet. So, and we live rurally. So, anyways, I went to another town over and found a doctor to take me on. I explained finding the ticks, starting the antibiotics, the shooting pain in my hands, and then the left-sided numbness and tingly that was like starting and stuff, and like just how weird it was. And so she was like, oh, that does sound kind of strange, right? So then she finally ordered my first Lyme test. And so then that's how it starts. So, this is like the start of it all, right? So then you wait a bit, you go back for your follow up. No, sorry, didn't test positive. So you don't have Lyme. You were treated. You're now healed from Lyme forever.
Wow.
We will never consider Lyme for you again now at this point. At this point, now we're considering other diseases. And since a lot of the symptoms that I was getting and feeling, they look a lot and relate a lot to MS, right? So
Oh my God.
here's the start of my MS journey.
Wow.
So then I get a brain scan ordered and do the brain scan, wait for my follow-up, get my follow-up. Yeah, for sure. You've got plaques. It looks like you've got MS now, all of a sudden. Don't know how that happens.
Right.
Um, and then, so then here you go, you get to go and wait for a neurological clinic to come help you and for the MS clinic to come help you, which both of those waiting times, when I got referred to them, were both 2.5 to 3 years.
What?
For waiting to get in after, being told that, that you potentially have MS or you have MS, they're referring you to those clinics, right? So take that whichever way you want. So I didn't like that answer. And like I said, I was in the healthcare field. So I was like, you know what? I made an appointment with one of my colleagues. So I went to go see him and he looked at my scans and he said, if I was a betting man, I'd bet you have MS. So it's like the lack of bedside manner and just, courtesy was mind blowing, especially from a colleague, a friend that you work with. And I had an aunt actually who had MS, and I watched her my whole life progressively get worse and worse and worse, from like walking to one cane to two canes to, a scooter to wheelchair full time to not being able to feed herself to finally passing away and having to fight to die. Like that poor lady, that poor woman's struggle was like it's an unimaginable life, right? And I had been exposed to that, so I knew what I was being diagnosed with and what my future outcome of life was going to be like. So that just set me off into a panic attack, like literally could not breathe. But the one nice thing that my colleague had done for me was he referred me to another neurology clinic that would have been faster than the wait times that I had before. So I was like, okay, that's helpful. That's something. At least you weren't very nice, but at least this is something, right? So,
Right.
So I go see this new neurological doctor. And I tell him everything. He does like a physical assessment and he looks at my old scans and he's like, you know what? I'm not convinced that you have MS. And I was like, oh, thank you. Yes, I know I do not have MS. There's no way you go from being a healthy 38-year-old to finding a tick bite and supposedly getting treated to just now having, MS. Like, I just don't think that's how diseases change or how that all works. So like, that's ridiculous. So he's like, well, I'm not convinced, but he's like, I know you're in healthcare too, and you're not convinced. And I know it's harder to convince us that, of things, right? So he's like, I'm going to order you a new brain scan and it'll be with contrast enhanced this time. And this will be the definitive, we'll rule this out, right? So I was like, that sounds great. Like, that's totally, then that'll get me back on track, to being able to, to get back onto the Lyme track so that I can finally start getting some help. Because being in the healthcare field, I thought I knew how to navigate the system. I thought that, that I would be okay and that I could get, through all of this. But it's not. It's not that easy. It's a broken system.
It's so broken.
Finally.
Yeah, the medical industry as a whole obviously it's been corrupt. It's been about the Benjamins, the dollar bills. It's a business more than it is a health care, actually fulfilling health and wellness. And yeah, it's nice to have the opportunity to expose that so we could hopefully hone in and make the health and wellness side of things the priority. But there's a lot of restructuring and things that need to take place.
Yeah, lots. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work around here, but I think it's possible. I think we can definitely get there. I'm definitely more on the side of optimism than pessimism.
Yes.
So
Well, this
that's
is the
my
beginning,
future outlook.
Roxanne. this is where we start with the stories. I mean, like
Yeah.
we can connect those dots and properly acknowledge, wow, these things aren't operating as good as they can, and hopefully breathe light into people to seize the opportunities we have, not just for ourselves, but our future generations and children, to ensure getting to the root of issues so we can up the resilience and quality of our lives as a whole. Like it's a beautiful opportunity, so we should be excited to seize that. But that's kind of the problem. And don't get me started, but I feel evil and whatever. Like more corporations, all about dollar bills from food and all these other things, have been deteriorating our resilience to where we can't even fathom onboarding the additional just weight, if you will, of the current pressures of life we experience. But so if everyone, that's where like conversations like this don't just benefit potentially those struggling with Lyme, it really can be applied to just anyone walking in today's world. So they
Yeah.
could onboard and champion these things and acknowledge how important it is. Like, it's just so crazy. Like I'm actually grateful for my disease in that walk now, because I believe it's just made this a priority while I'm here to be able to thoroughly enjoy the time I got. It's just, health is freaking kind of everything, right?
It is. Once you don't have it, you really, really, really realize how important it really is and what a
Right.
difference it makes. Like yeah, it affects all facets of your life. So it's
Yeah.
definitely something that, yeah, it's important to prioritize, and and
Yes.
it's all about learning and different things and stuff, and just always being open to different options and possibilities of different things that are out there as well, right? So
That
that's kind of
that
how I
is
feel like
key.
this water came to my life. It was just being open and following the flow of life and where it was leading me till,
I like that.
till where it got me to where I am, which was incredible, right?
We just can't have those blinders on in life and just
Mhm.
blindly entrust in everything around. I like that, to listen to uh, your intuition and just question things and stay optimistic and stay open and looking. Yeah.
Yeah,
And inevitably you will be led to some breakthroughs.
exactly. That's the way that it goes. The more open that you are to the possibilities, the more that they spring up, the more that you see them and you know that they're there. And that's actually like one of the jokes you can always make too, is that your inner voice, your intuition, it's too quiet. That's
Yeah.
why sometimes we don't pardon me, we don't hear it, right? It's sometimes a little bit the quieter voice in the back of our
Yeah.
heads that's like, oh, maybe you should do this, or maybe you should listen to this, or and it's so easy with, especially the fast paced lives that we lead right now, right? Where we're just always go, 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 go from one thing to the next. And we're not really sitting and being present and just allowing the flow to happen,
Wow.
which is really
So
important.
this next spec scan, or not, was it a spec scan or brain scan?
No, MRI.
MRI. What was the outcome there?
Definitely it got MS was ruled out, which was great.
Wow.
But it was like a waiting process again too, right? So it's always like waiting in between appointments to tests to the follow-ups, and just getting the results. And at the whole time that is happening is your disease is progressing. You're getting
Right.
sicker and sicker, right? You're starting to feel more of it, like different things are happening. And I know for a lot of us Lyme warriors and just other people too, we end up having to do so much of our own research, right? We're
Yeah.
constantly, so it's like something else brings up and it's like, wow, I just gotta, like, I was at work and um I had to retrain myself to learn how to do lab.
Wow.
So It was actually like a really intense time when my disease was progressing, because I was going back to work from a maternity leave. I had to learn how to do lab, because I had left the province for a bit. So, and they had changed the system from being manual before to being all automated. So it was learning lab again with an automated online system, being in an abusive relationship, to, like losing every little bit, a little bit of my health at, every time, or as every day was progressing and stuff. So it was a super intense ride. And that's what I've heard from a lot of Lyme literate docs too, is they say that a lot of us Lyme patients have a lot of stuff going on, stressors or triggers that could be, progressing the disease faster for us than maybe for other people and stuff, right? However, I come from the knowledge in life where I think pretty much all of us go through everything.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a crazy ride, this whole life and everything,
Yes.
right? To say that you're gonna go through it unscathed without any stressors or triggers, I think that's a little bit naive, like I don't think life is supposed to be this smooth ride that everybody makes it. It's supposed to have those bumps and those hurdles, but it's coming, it's going past them and overcoming them, that's the beauty of life, right? And then,
Yes.
like listening to the flow to get us there, right? So like it's just a crazy process for everything, right? So
You're onto something there, because like with Lyme, it's interesting. It's almost like this freaking spiral. This disease knows that, hey, by attacking the immune system, by suppressing that, by putting this body in uh, a stage of like fight or flight, it can just reproduce. It could just run rampant and thrive and just wreak havoc on the body. So to your point, like, yeah, it just magnifies a lot of the hardships of life in a way where things become more triggering and traumatizing, and all these phrases, like with Lyme rage and Lyme brain, and just, the depressive side of things, just all these horrific impacts. But there is hope. There is light, as tough as it is. And that's why we got to up the awareness, and we got to change the medical side of things to help clear the path for folks to more effectively be diagnosed, treated, even funding, whether it be through insurancing or other programs, just something to make this more financially viable for people to help eradicate this. Because it's crazy, as that starts, effectively dying off and minimizing, it's not a natural state like we're just conjuring up. This is like what the disease is causing itself, and it can lead to to total destruction and death even, or more often than not, people get to the breaking point where they just can't fathom continuing with this fight. And that's a grave issue. And
yeah.
I personally feel that there's individuals, called the New World Order or something, that have financially benefited, but not more important to them than even money. It's to let these type of illnesses, these diseases, these bioweapons run rampant and unchecked under the radar, so to speak, and out of our like studies and medical institutions, to getting to the roots of the issues. Like, they're more than the money side of things. It's putting them in a place of control where we're not a threat to the infrastructure behind everything. And I know I'm totally getting off track here, but there is a huge level of importance I want for even the healthy to capture here, where it's, if we only focus on those that are afflicted and symptom based, we're a dog chasing its tail. That there's bigger infrastructure we need to expose, acknowledge, and address to rule out these issues or potentially futuristic ones to become, new
More prevalent.
epidemics.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I know. It is. It's crazy. Like there's got to be something that we can all do, right, to just
Right.
get the word out there. But yeah, you're right. The awareness is like the big part. And I think for Lyme too, it is just so huge because I still, as a chronic, I consider myself, even though I'm feeling better now than I did even before I had Lyme, I think I still
Wow.
consider myself right now, um, with chronic Lyme, just in remission.
Wow.
And the
Yeah.
confirmation from my Lyme doctor here too, he doesn't believe as well that there is a cure for Lyme, that the
Mm.
best that we can have is remission and stuff, right? So,
Right.
but even at that, like to say, like I'm a Lyme patient and I have chronic Lyme, I don't know how it's hard to describe if somebody were to ask me what is Lyme,
Mm.
what is it, right? Like, how do you describe it? I know I've heard it tons and tons and times again before, like Avril Lavigne and all these celebrities have Lyme. You just
Mm-hmm.
hear Lyme. You don't know what it is until you have it. Like Lyme is one of those things, once you know, you know.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I'd rather not be one of the ones who, had to find out exactly what this is. But I feel like it's such a different journey for so many people. Like,
Right.
from all the different documentaries and the research that I've done, it's like lupus, one of those diseases of like 1,000 different faces, right? It seems to affect everybody slightly a little bit different, but a little bit the same, right? Where we all still have the struggles with the medical society. We all still have the
Mm-hmm.
struggles with our deteriorating bodies and it compounding it. It doesn't just you don't just get one thing. You don't just get these neurological symptoms and it's done. It's not done. It keeps growing in your body until it keeps getting, another organ and another thing is, like just
Mm.
one more
Right.
thing is coming on. Like it's never ending. It doesn't stop. And the knowledge out there and the information out there is minimal. But then even as a patient, I don't know how I could describe it. Like it's so multifaceted and it affects literally all parts of your life, all parts of your body.
Yep.
How,
Yeah. Well, and that's where the healthy got on board this because I mean, my gosh, what happened with the pandemic and this safe and effective, to me, bioweapon? I mean, the jury's out. The information, the floodgates have been opened to those that actually want to open their eyes and see. But it's it's just bio warfare. And oh, where was I going with that? Lime brain.
oh God, I know I
It's
hate Lyme brain.
I know. Well, because like some of the doctors and individuals that have actually really studied it, they have spoken out that in certain geographic areas the populace has no idea. They're by based on their data, they're like 90% of the people freaking have this thing and have no clue. And that was even shocking for me to come across. I'll be doing an episode on that where I'll play this clip, where he's really diving in and exposing that. But I guess just like the pandemic, they've integrated this substance. They found it in water sources, chemtrails, the inoculations. It's like there's only one way it gets in any of these. It isn't accidental. It's being intentionally done, and then all of a sudden, when finding out intention becomes tricky. But when you expose and really have an open mind and you start really looking into it, it's like we are being attacked. We're being
Mhm.
attacked. Like, so it's, I mean, this is a huge part of what we're trying to like expose here, to get to the bottom of, but because hmm, there luckily are things we could do to stop this shenanigans, and but but rule it out. This is where I was going with it. My gosh, was just back to the point of kind of to your point where it just will slowly continue to grow and it's hard to explain. But for me, I had tick encounters on the East Coast since before I was 7 years old. As a kid, it was kind of a daily ritual, as you were explaining, like picking them off. But I didn't find out I had Lyme disease till over 30 years later. And it didn't end up chronic till the last bit of those years. So it's one of those things that it's like just this ticking time bomb as we experience life and certain events happen and our immune system goes down. Like it slowly starts overtaking and winning to the point it's now chronic. And it's interesting because even the CDC and these institutions here tried ruling out chronic being associated with Lyme for the longest time, but now they're finally acknowledging it being chronic because it's freaking killing people and it's ruining lives. And so
Yeah.
the whole point of that rant, it's just trying to sound the alarm for everyone because it is true epidemic levels. And I think there's already variations and other things being created and have been that have been impacting us that we're really not even in the know. But with the breakthroughs I've seen, there is hope that with the breakthroughs I've even personally feel, um, I feel we can more so collectively. This is where it's going to take the community. It's going to take a percentage of all of us from the healthy side to the afflicted side to actually get to the bottom and breathe health back in and eradicate these things to where we're able to experience a more joyful life.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which is what it's all about.
yeah, 100%. Well, I don't know how that all just landed. That was quite the rant there. But for you, how bad did it get? So did it end up being years of trying to figure
Um,
it out? Like,
yeah. I think my entire battle from like start to when I was starting to feel better, it was probably almost 3.5, 4 years. So
wow.
it wasn't that long as other people for sure that I have read about or heard about and stuff, right? So definitely feel very blessed and fortunate for that. But I do attribute that a lot to just my relentless research and,
Mm,
the effort and the time that I put into um, finding out information for myself and different treating modalities and different, just all the research and just all the time and effort that goes into learning everything you can about this disease and this illness that you have and stuff. So, yeah, so like I said, I had started back at work and I was retraining and learning everything again as my disease was progressing and waiting for my final appointment with the neurologist to get him to confirm that it wasn't MS through the MRI with the enhanced brain scan. But at that time, then the more symptoms are coming. Like the effects to your diet or your digestive system.
mm,
For me, it was a lot of the heart palpitations and the dizzy spells. And then it got to a point where my lymph nodes were getting so swollen that they hurt so bad. Um, and it's funny, sometimes it's so weird. Sometimes it didn't it didn't dawn on me right away that these new things coming up are related to Lyme, right?
mm,
It's just
mm,
something else pops up and you're dealing with it, and then it takes like a little bit of having it before you realize you're like, oh my gosh, of course, why isn't, as if I didn't know that this would have been a Lyme symptom or another
mm,
thing that was attributed to it, right? So it's just crazy. But then my lymph nodes in my armpits were getting really swollen and painful, and like my arms were throbbing and stuff. So I had gone to the doctor, and she had given me a dose of antibiotics for it. Of course, they're always the first thing that they go to, and it didn't really help. It didn't take away the swelling. It took away some of the pain, but not any of the swelling. So then just having to constantly go back and then fight and argue with her to get it looked at, to figure out what it was. So then it was like surgical appointments, internal medicine appointments, ultrasound appointments, the biopsy appointments and stuff. And then the whole time too, like some of the treatments from some of the other doctors in the clinics were just horrific, as in the internal medicine specialist just minimized my complaints and everything. Well, you're just thin, so that's why you can feel your lymph nodes. And it's like, I've been thin my whole life. I mean, lymph nodes haven't bothered me, but I'm like in pain right now, like to the tips of my fingers, like from my armpit to the tips of my fingers, the constant throbbing pain from the lymph nodes being swollen, but just getting minimized. Well, you're just skinny. That's like, you're just going to have to live with that. Or, the people doing the biopsies, again, they almost refused to do it and wouldn't do it and stuff, because again too, a lot of my testing was still coming back as nothing, like just nothing specific or whatever, and they just like it's just all just fine, or so of course that wasn't really helping me either. And that doesn't like help you in your whole Lyme journey as well. There's a lot of trauma that comes with that, because it made it hard for me to talk about, because everybody always is relying and waiting for you to say, well, I've gotten this test, I've tested positive for this, and it wasn't testing positive for anything. So I didn't feel like I could talk about my journey with anyone, and it almost felt like a lie, or like, and that people wouldn't understand it. So it was very, very traumatic part of my experience to
so lonely. Wow.
Yes, to not have the confirmation with the testing and stuff, and like just the confidence that gives you to talk about the different things and stuff, right? So it was, it just made it so difficult.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I know. Like, so for me, one of my biggest things now that I'm feeling better and stuff, how I want to contribute to the Lyme community is, especially in my area here in the province of Manitoba, I want to get rid of the Lyme testing. It's just so bloody inaccurate that I feel like it just causes more obstacles and hurdles than it does. And it's inaccurate of a test. And then number two, the doctors that are giving it, they don't know how to read the results. So like think that as in like you're positive on one tier but not on the other, but then you're still considered negative. Whereas there is something, but then they're not reading that test properly and they're just dismissing it, right? And then you get dismissed in the long run.
I wonder in Canada if it's similar to this whole Western blot, or the Western medicines testing for Lyme here in America is entirely defective. It's defective. It was exposed, I believe, in the quiet epidemic, where originally there was like 10 markers for Lyme, and they initially were like, all right, if you have 5 of them, like that's like the CDC standard, you got to have 5 of them to get that positive diagnosis. Well, they came out with a early vaccine that epically failed. So it was very short-lived, but 2 of those markers were included in that vaccine. So they didn't want people to now end up with this vaccine in false positive. So they removed 2 of the markers from the 10 out of the testing. And to this day, it's still removed, even though that no one pretty much walking this earth has gotten that jab. So it's like, so they've removed 2 of the main markers it takes to get your 5 for the positive test, and none of them can see. So when people are showing up there with 4 or 3, like the 3 plus those 2 could get their 5, and even then it's tricky because there's layers to it, and with the co-infections there, you got to be able to see through the cracks to properly identify what is the root of the issue. So
which is, what we
yeah,
need to
it
get to,
definitely.
right? And what most of Western medicine avoids is getting to the root of the issue, because they
Right.
just want to throw those magical pills at you that are,
Gosh. Well,
magically going to cause all this other side effects that you're going to make you need more of their pills, and then just keep you as a happy customer instead of,
yeah.
as a healthy individual,
How
blossoming in
how
life.
telling that is, because Lyme disease has been attributed to over 300 other immune related illnesses. So, like, how enriching is that into this business system to not get to the root of the issue and conjure up all these pharmaceuticals for those 300 other illnesses, never getting to the root of the issue?
Yeah. Well,
You
there's no
know,
money in that, right? So
no money in
we,
that. It's the same
we all
battle
know
to
that.
this day we faced with cancer and these other things. So,
Yeah,
yeah, lots to expose there. So it sounds like you've been through
definitely.
the ringer, typical walk of Lyme disease. And
Uh-huh.
that's where we're
Yeah,
trying to move the needle to where people, A, they're not outcasts about it, right? And then B, they're able to properly test, which yeah, I agree. We need to come out with a better standard. And personally, I feel, to really, with all these doctors and like we said, 90% potential in certain areas, it's like we need to get it so honed in and available that I personally feel it would be beneficial to all nations worldwide to go in and get the testing done and see where they're at. Because obviously, as you know, it's always easier to eradicate earlier versus later. And even if you had it for a long time, and let's just say you lived pretty stress free, you lived healthfully, so it never really flared up, but you had it for 20 years, it's still going to be easier to eradicate than in a chronic state where, and why wait till you're on that struggle bus, even, where you can't
exactly.
function, you lose your job, like, just wow. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, with everything you've been going through, like, how much, I mean, you guys got a different whole health structure, care system. Was there a big financial burden on you with all this?
To be honest, I don't have big financial resources, so it wasn't. It's not something that I had to give to this whole big battle, right? Other than the time that it was taking, me away from work and to travel to the different clinics and stuff like that. Yeah. So I will tell you though too, I did try something that was very experimental and very frowned upon from Health Canada, and
Mm.
probably in the States too. The FDA is probably not very fond of this too. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's something that I tried in I guess like midway through my journey. It's called Miracle Mineral Solution, MMS. It's kind of like a blood cleaner. It sounds kind of crazy, but it was discovered by this guy. I forgot his name. Sorry, it's a couple of years old now, but I think it's Hubble or something, his name, but and he discovered it to help treat malaria patients.
Oh,
So
okay.
essentially, what it is it smells a lot like bleach, but what they use it for in the medical system is like to clean out medical bags and stuff like that. But what he discovered was that I guess there were some patients that were suffering from malaria, and they had some of this stuff around and nothing else, and that's what they gave those malaria patients, and they all recovered and stuff. He's got some crazy protocols with it and stuff and how you take it. it does smell exactly like bleach, and it does, the Health Canada does definitely not advise against it, and that there's a lot of deaths and stuff, right? But I did a lot of my research for this. I don't, like I said, I am in the medical field, or I was in the medical field. So I do a lot of my research, and I read a lot of the Health Canada stuff, but I read a lot of the other stuff as well, because I've also been always in my entire life an avid believer in natural health and healing, right? And I often realize that a lot of times Health Canada and the FDA puts out these warning on stuff that naturally work, again, because
Right.
there's no money in a totally cured population, right? So,
Right.
And then I actually had a friend at the time too who was also interested in it, but for a different reason. So we both got some, and then actually, the thing with this too, it's all these natural stuff are a lot cheaper than the meds that they give us, right? So that's another reason, is that it's something that people could easily make and create themselves, so it's not very expensive. So anyway, so no, the Lyme wasn't a huge factor in, or like the financial cost, is just because I just truly didn't have it to put into it. What I will say about the MMS though was I was taking it at a time where I was working actively in the hospital. So we have crazy schedules in the hospital, right? So I was doing a lot of different shift work and stuff. So what I would say is that I did feel like there was some benefit. I did feel like there was some improvement. I would liken it to something like chemotherapy for Lyme patients. It was something that was a harsh protocol. You definitely need to have the time to adapt your life to taking this protocol, but also to, like, you need more of a structured life and a balanced like routine while you're doing it. You don't have to take it very seriously and stuff. So anyways, I did stop taking it and stuff. It was very hard to just keep up with the whole shift work and stuff, but I did find that there was some improvements in it. I would definitely do it a little bit different if I were to do it again, as in just like having a routine and just being able to, like, focus on that and my healing only. But
there
then, yeah,
seemed to
okay.
be something
Yeah.
to it.
There did. Yeah. It did seem like it was cleaning out my blood, or like there was something to it. Like the tingling and stuff lessened, like some of the things kind of lessened and got
Oh,
better.
wow.
And
Okay.
it wasn't as bad, but it was very hard to take. It was very hard on my system. Like, when I say it smells like bleach, it also tastes like bleach. And it was like, it was
Right.
it was hard. Like, just even the thought of putting it to my lips again now, like
So you would
if I
drink
had to
it?
do, pardon? Yeah, I drank it. I would do it
Okay.
if I had to, but I'm definitely not looking forward to ever having to do that again. So that,
Well, what? Yeah, I'm anxious. So
yes. So
what
I'm going to get to the good
led?
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, what led to some of your breakthroughs? My gosh, what a battle.
But for everybody, right? And for all our Lyme patients and all the other Lyme warriors, actually, I should say, I'll correct myself. But yeah, so I finally discovered that there is a Lyme clinic, clinic here in Manitoba. So I wanted to get a referral, thinking that, hey, finally, like, yay, the light went on. I'm going to find some help finally, right? Again, this is all during COVID, right? So, I couldn't even find a doctor to give me the referral that I needed to get into this clinic. I had to drive 3 hours away from my home to go and to be able to find a doctor that would give me a referral to get to this clinic.
Wow.
And then, because you need like blood tests and some EKGs and like some work done before they'll let you in, right? And so thankfully with this tick clinic too, the doctor who runs it, he's actually an internal medicine doctor. He's like one of the most beautiful men I've ever met. But he doesn't believe that the tests are accurate. So you're not accepted
Right.
into the clinic based on your labs. You're based on a clinical diagnosis.
Wow.
Thankfully, yes. So I got my clinical diagnosis, which helped with a lot of my mental issues too, because of the trauma from not having being tested positive and stuff, right?
I gotta say, it was a
Yeah.
bittersweet on my diagnosis. It was like, no one wants this. No one wants
Yeah.
this. But it it was validating in so
Yes.
many ways. Like, not only did it give us like a direction and something to hone in on, it just is like, my heart goes out to anyone that's just like, what's wrong with me? And like, just on a struggle bus to any degree.
Oh yeah. So difficult. I know. And that's why I started off with saying how grateful I was for finding the tick, because I have a friend in
Right.
Alberta who ended up in the cardiac unit.
Wow.
And then even after that, because the testing here is so inaccurate, she ended up in the cardiac unit and still took about a couple months afterwards to be a couple months afterwards and $1,100 to send her blood to Germany before getting her Lyme diagnosis. So
Wow.
like all her heart issues and everything were caused by Lyme, but the testing was so inaccurate in the hospitals that she was testing negative on those tests. So of course it was being dismissed. And it wasn't until she went to a natural path afterwards to get to the root of her problem
Right.
that, that they ended up sending her blood away and then discovering that she had Lyme. So that's
Are
why
none
I
of
will
those
forever be
doc
grateful.
right? Are none of those doctors up there? I'm just wow. I didn't even connect. Like, for Canadians, are you able to use like IGenX labs and these other specialty labs that are honing in on this
They don't.
specific?
They don't
You,
typically
you
listen to those results, and that's why when you asked about the financial and stuff too, i
yeah.
knew i knew from working in the hospital and from other people's journeys and stuff, from just talking about it, that the doctors didn't, like, even if I paid the $1,100 for that test to get my positive to be validated, that the doctors here still wouldn't accept it. And it's still so crazy to me too, because I would start most of my appointments with new doctors, as in, because I knew that this was Lyme. So I would start most of my appointments with new doctors, getting them to agree and confirm that the testing was very inaccurate.
Mm.
But then when they looked at my results and saw that I was negative, they still would never go back to Lyme. Mind blowing to me. Like freaking mind
It,
blowing. You've just
right.
agreed with me and said that the testing isn't inaccurate, but then you still rely on that inaccurate test to not listen to my complaints and to treat
Wow.
me and to help me. It was freaking fucking like, sorry,
Right.
I couldn't even really believe it. Like it was, and so most of the time too, like once they, wouldn't get to, the assumption of back to Lyme, I knew that I wasn't going to get helped, right? I knew right then that I
Right.
was just going to get gaslit, and that like that this wasn't going to lead me to anything that was going to be helpful in any kind of way. So it was just crazy. Like it's
Like,
mind
you know
blowing to me
what?
that,
To that point, like, I mean, there could be a level of like personal gratification or something, but bigger than that, like, I've never gone back to the Western medicine doctors that, to your experience, were like, nope, you don't have Lyme, and then they're moving in. They just want to prescribe me SSRIs. They just want to,
yeah,
antidepressants, and we need to get you a psychiatrist, and just all this shenanigans, and nothing that would actually like even effectively be a band-aid. It's just going to make you more pharmaceutical dependent. But
exactly.
fast forward, where now all these specialty labs and from multiple experts, MDs, naturopathics, they're very well accredited doctors, well above like these Western medicine just family physicians here. But like, would that be a good episode for people? Would that let things sink in? Like, if I somehow record an episode where I go back to one of these doctors, it was like, you don't have Lyme disease, you need SSRIs. Like, but I go in with all this other lab work, with like the very definitive Lyme disease outcome. Like, is that what it's going to take for people to acknowledge, like, they don't know any better? They're not
No.
taught any better. They're taught to follow these certain protocols. That's why, I mean, the whole way it's even structured here, the way you sit here and you'll have a face to face with their nurse lady or whatnot, and then the doctor only just like comes in, looks real quick. Yeah, it's just it's just very basic protocols. They're not engaging with you in seeking, like that robot you just explained, like you got them, like that was very intelligent. You got them to agree, yes, very defective, but then once it came out, like their hands are tied. Like they're
Yeah.
pretty much, it's a very, it's a corrupted system.
Can I tell you
And
a
what,
secret?
yeah,
You want to know why? It's because doctors aren't taught and aren't
yes,
it's not allowed, it's frowned upon for them to use their own brains and common sense. You
right,
think when you go into the clinic or when you go to an emergency room that that doctor is assessing you and making his judgments and his calls based on his own thoughts and his own like thought process to like or troubleshooting process to get to treat you. That's not at all what happens. They're not allowed to make their own thoughts and decisions. Literally what they have
right,
are flow
right,
charts. They have to
yes,
follow flow charts. If they don't
yes,
follow the flow charts, they get in trouble and then their careers are in jeopardy. So
yes,
they're not any smarter than you or I or anybody else. They can
right,
just read and follow flow charts and agree to, the same thing and not speak out or do anything different. That's the way that our medical system, because of the people who have gotten hurt and sued or other things, but this is
hmm
just how the medical system has ended up. So like it's no surprise that we end up in the condition and in the way that
right.
we are. Like it's
Not to totally bash on everyone in that position, because I do know personally some of those family physicians, like their heart is in the right place, but it
yeah,
takes some years. It takes many years for them to start thinking beyond. I mean, some catch
the
on
boss.
sooner, but to catch on to like, man, I keep doing this thing. I'm having all the same outcome with all these different patients. They keep coming back. Their symptoms are worsening. Like,
Yeah,
like it starts weighing on them, and that's where you end up with these well established and accredited doctors, because they further their education. They eat humble pie. The indoctrination of their medical pedestal, it's not really valued to them and valuable anymore to them, so they humble themselves and continue the education and then end up in a position of actually practicing medicine. Like that's
exactly.
what we need. And we need to be able to like champion these doctors, to platform them, because like, yeah, to your point, a lot of their licensing and things are under threat. So I personally know many of them that more so practice in a way under the radar, because if they really boasted what they were, all like everything they're doing and actually saving lives would be at risk, because it's not going with this whole industry standard, which is tyrannically ruled. So I'm really
Mhm.
glad we're driving that nail home on
Yeah,
this episode, because it's a very important aspect to
I think so. Yeah.
solving this grave issue. But
How did we get here?
it does go beyond the scope of just Lyme disease. It's all these other issues,
Yeah. It goes for all
health
other
in
medical.
general.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, just the whole healthcare system and where we're at and why and how did we get here, kind of a thing. Because we're not the only ones suffering. We're a big group,
Right.
definitely, for sure. There's lots of us and there's more and more every day. And there's so many, I feel like there's so many diseases that are truly Lyme that are, like just
Yeah.
they just appear different in everybody, right? So that's
Well,
kind of where that's at. But
I mean, yeah. I mean, just for example, as I'm in there getting IVs every week, I'm surrounded by these cancer patients, and my heart really went out to this particular cancer patient, that her family really wasn't supportive, because this is considered an alternate, because she's in there for IVs, where the industry standard would be chemo, but she knew, and she saw too many, and she had already been through it, and so many can only go through it so many times, to where like it's more so, once again, you look at the financial incentives behind freaking chemo. It's insane. And it leads to a lot of people's death. Like where there are proven like better solutions and better paths. Now, I'm no freaking doctor or expert, but you can do your own research and connect the dots. And it just saddens my heart that even on the cancer side, which is way more in the public light than Lyme disease, that even family members can't even champion behind this individual when she's from the best of her knowledge taking action that's gonna breathe life into her and hopefully save it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I know. Yeah, it's intense. Yeah, for sure.
So did things get like function? I know you talked about a lot of pain, like your function, like cognitive abilities and energy, like being lethargic, anything like brain fog, depression. Did that ramp up?
Oh, yes, it sure did. So by the time I finally got into the tick clinic and got all my labs and accepted, and I did my interview with the intake nurse and stuff, which ends up being like 2 hour an appointment, just going through everything, right? That got you up to that point. I had lost my job in the healthcare field. So the stress, it's mostly, I'm not going to talk about that. That's like a whole new episode, I'm sure.
Right.
We'll have
Okay.
lots to say on that. But what I will say about what that did for my disease, though, was just progressive. Like, I think it like amped it up because the amount of stress that put on my body and on my psyche and stuff, it just like I was already, I think at that position, I was already in a spot where I should have asked for disability from work. But being a dedicated healthcare worker working during a pandemic, I was working at 4 different hospitals, working on call. I was working short. I was working overtime. So like I was doing everything I could, and especially in a rural set in a place that we are too, is keeping a lot of these places open, right? Like if I wasn't going on call to this other place, they wouldn't have an emergency room open. So you take a lot on that on yourself personally, right? So you're just helping out. So I feel like I should have already been on disability with where I was in like my last day of work, to put it into perspective, like where I was at physically the week before I got fired. My last shift, I could not stand. My left side, I was in so much pain, like muscle pain and pain. I couldn't stand anymore. I went to go sit down at the end of the day. I couldn't sit either. Like I couldn't sit with any pressure on my left side. Like literally sitting was like sitting all on my right side. If I was standing, all my pressures on my right side. And you feel like, okay, well, if I already have 2 positions I can't do, for Pete's sake, I better be able to lie down and get some relief from my pain. But nope, couldn't lie down either. Lying down just on my left side or just flat on my back, the left side hurt too much. Like literally had to like lay on my right side as well. So yeah, I was in enough pain and just getting by. So I should have been off work, but again, just was pushing through it because just one of those people, right? I'm a Capricorn, so I'm a pretty hard worker. So anyways, so then I was supposed to have an appointment with a tick clinic like a month after my intake nurse appointment, but that got delayed due to COVID. And then like a month later, I was just like a month later in January, I was just like, I can't live like this anymore. I don't have any quality of life. At that point, my walking was like pretty rough. Like I was doing my best to stay active and at least trying to go for 1 walk a day. But I was finding that I needed like a walking stick because it was just getting to be too much, like it was just, I was in so much pain. So it wasn't anything. So then my partner at the time and I were researching different clinics, just any kind of treatments, all kind of treatments, just researching everything. I felt good because I was in the tick clinic, but then my appointments kept getting canceled. So I was like, I just can't keep living like this.
Yeah.
So then my appointment got canceled again, February 18th or something. And I was like, you know what? That's it. I don't care. I'm not waiting. Do you know what? I just actually call it my big fuck no day, because it was just, my appointment got canceled, and then I got an appointment from a call from a union, and things weren't going good with my legal battle for my job either. So I went to go lay down for a meditation. And then when my partner came back, I was like, fuck this, fuck that, fuck them all, fuck everything. I'm going to freaking do it myself. I don't know how, but I'm going to find a way. I'm going to find a way to get better. I'm going to find a way to support myself or to work, because I just felt like the healthcare industry wasn't really aligning with me anymore, which is the direction that they were going during COVID. So I was like, you know what? Fuck everything. Fuck it. Today's my fuck it day. I'm not, like I give up today. I give up on everything, and I'm going to do this myself. I don't know how, but I am. So I was researching different clinics. I was like researching going to the States. Some in Canada, just different herbals. I was researching all the different kinds of herbals. Like I was trying to like own in on the symptoms that I was having to find the right herbal or the tincture and stuff. So I had a list of those going. I had a list of clinics going and stuff. And then I saw an ad. It was online, and it was just this lady who said, what did she say? She said, do you ever get thirsty, or do you love water? And I was like, yeah, I actually do love water. I've always loved water. I've always drank in gallons of water, but I've never felt hydrated from it. It just felt like I could drink gallons and gallons of this water. And you know how you can feel it slushing around in your stomach?
Right.
And I was like, I would still feel dehydrated in my head. And I knew that I was, no matter how much I was drinking. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I felt like there was something wrong with me, but I wasn't really sure. So then she said, do you ever get thirsty, or do you like drink gallons of water and still feel dehydrated? And I was like, yeah, I sure do. Like, this totally is me. And she's like, well, your water's dead. And I was like, what is she talking about? My water's dead. Like, I'm in healthcare. I've had like IBS, like stomach issues before and stuff. So I've studied a lot of like different kinds of diets and stuff. One of the diets that I felt was the best was the Dr. Sebi diet, which is like a very high alkaline diet. So, and of course, you always hear about alkaline diets and cancer fights and in different treatments and stuff, right? So I was like, and in Dr. Sebi, he talks about drinking spring water, and spring water is the best water you can drink. Right. I was drinking spring water. I was going to a local, what is it called? A local spring or whatever, and it gets it's 30 minutes away, and it gets tested twice a week. So I was like, I'm already drinking spring local water. Like, it doesn't get much better than this. I don't know what they're talking about with this dead water. It didn't make sense to me, but I was like really curious about it. So I just started looking a little bit more into this water, and they started talking about it being living structured water. And it was alkanized. So I was like, alkanized, that's what caught my eye. I was like, alkanized, thinking back about Dr. Sebi and his diets, and, hearing everything I had heard about before about, having the alkaline diets and having your body in a more alkaline state. So I was thinking to myself, okay, if I could get my body in a more alkaline state, it's in a healthier state. It'll get rid of whatever that, it will help naturally take care of some things. And then whatever symptoms are left, like it'll get to the root of a lot of stuff, right? And whatever symptoms are left, those will be easier to treat once my body gets in a healthier state. So I was like, I love this. This is great. So then when I looked into it, the alkanized is different from the regular the bottled alkaline water you can find, right? Because those bottled waters are actually really not that good for you, because it's done through a chemical process, right? So it's not really natural, and it's really done through adding baking soda. So it actually really makes the water acidic. So it's not the alkaline that it's promising everybody. It's just kind of like a fake one.
Yeah, when you mentioned dead water, that's instantly like where my mind went, was from the processing plants, the filter systems, the chemical additives, and it's no secret. Like here, it's more than dead water. It's live dead, if that even makes sense. But the alive part is all
disgusting.
Toxin, like
pollution, medications,
right? Yes,
everything.
chemicals, pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
poisons.
Yeah. I knew where you were going with that. Yeah. I totally get that. Yeah. No, I
So,
know, right?
but you are doing spring water. Spring water says that's not dead to me, but it
No.
could be deficient in some things, right?
Well, what it is yeah, the alkalinity isn't as high, right? And so that's what the difference was with this machine, that it's alkanized. So it's done through an electrolysis process when the water goes through over some titanium plates, kind of like what happens in nature. I don't know if you've heard of blue zones. Blue zones, there's like I think there's like 7 or 8 of them around the world and stuff, and those blue zones, most people live longer in these blue zones than anywhere else in
Wow.
the world, and they've
Really?
attributed a lot of it to like their health and diet, and shockingly enough, they have this natural living water coming out of the ground. So that's why a lot of it is attributed to their longer
Fascinating.
life and stuff, right? I know it's kind of crazy.
It
So
is
it's a
fascinating.
it's a really good rabbit hole for you one time if you have some time to get
Right.
into like the blue zones around the
Well,
world and stuff.
I want to let the listeners know that you brought a lot of receipts as I scroll through our communications. I mean, the amount of testimonials you have, it's amazing. And we'll dive into yours here, but I've gone
Yeah.
through a lot of this and it's no secret. And this is nothing new. This has been something developed for some time. And
Yeah.
things like this clearly face an uphill battle. Uh, I I don't know it all, right?
No.
I don't know if this is singularly the biggest step people could make with Lyme disease or without Lyme disease to breathe health and life into them. But for you personally, it's no secret because you made it known to me, you attribute your biggest breakthrough basically solely to this product and this structured water, right?
It's water. I know. It's crazy. So many people, like, we underestimate water our whole lives. We
And we
really had no
underestimate what our
idea. But I know the
bodies.
Bible talks about living water, right? So
Mm,
like it's not like it hasn't been known or like that we don't know about it, especially like with the blue zones and stuff, right? Where this has been around, but like we underestimate the power of
mm,
water and our bodies, and it's crazy. So I was hooked. I was hooked as soon as I learned about the alkalized, because my brain essentially went to like, hey, yes, it's going to get my body in a healthier state. And once my plan was, once my body is in a healthier state, I'm going to get some more tinctures, because I had done a few tinctures over the course and stuff. And I
mm.
found like they sometimes helped, but weren't quite strong enough, right? So then that's where my thought process was like, if I get my body in a healthier state, then I'm going to hit it with these tinctures of whatever's left, right? So whatever's left, I'll get tinctures straightly for those, and then they're going to work so much better. And this is how I'm going to get rid of this Lyme, because I couldn't wait. Like my doctor's appointments for the tick clinic kept just getting postponed and postponed. So I was like, I just can't wait. I can't fly. I couldn't leave Canada at the time because I wasn't jabbed. So I was like, I don't have any options. I can't go anywhere else. I don't have anything else. So let's just look more into this water. So I was hooked on the alkanized, but that's not even the magic of the water. The magic of the water actually comes from like the molecular hydrogen that's created
Wow.
when the water is restructured and the hydrogen molecules are separated so that they're not so tightly bound. So that's what allows it to cross your cell membrane faster, and it actually hydrates you faster. It's incredible.
Wow.
You can feel it like right away. So that's what I call like the molecular hydrogen. It's magic. Like it really truly is. And once you see it, like when I have my water flowing out of my tap at home, I can put a lighter to the flow of the living water, this restructured water. And because there's so much molecular hydrogen in it, you hear it going like it pops because of
Really?
all the like the molecular hydrogen in there. So then yes, so that I'd encourage you to go to like PubMed and look up research on molecular hydrogen, electrolyzed reduced water, which is what this water is, right? That's like the scientific term for it if you're going to search on PubMed. So there's been like over 850 studies done on this
Right.
type of water, and not one negative to date.
Wow.
Not
Well,
one.
I'll let you, if
Not
you're
one.
open to it, I'll let you be the hub because you're no noob when it comes to this. So for listeners, be sure we're going to add links into the comment sections that could put you directly in touch with Roxanne here. And she'd be happy to send you testimonials, links, products, everything that has helped and worked for you. I, I'll, I'll even just say, now like that it would be nice to get affiliated and essentially try this out. And like if there's something like personal breakthrough, it would be nice to get machines like this out in rotation, because I know the limiting factors of people that are faced with this, especially here in America. Like this is that there's literally no coverage right now for this horrific disease. It's all
Yeah.
outside of their knit tuck umbrella of what these insurance companies and all the corruption. Man, I tell you, just so many layers to it. But and
Yeah.
it's financially, emotionally, morally, everything exhausting.
Yep.
And the last thing I know for people faced with Lyme is putting funds towards another thing that may or may not have the outcome they're looking for or something. So man, to potentially get in a position, I don't know if I could get in touch with this company directly or something to potentially get some of this out in rotation, like
Try it.
for people to try and feel like I don't know, when you said how you just even instantly, I don't know why, it just kind of spoke to me. It excited me, and I hope I want to try it, and
I
I'm
want you to
sure
try it.
yeah, so many people out there would too. So I
Yes,
just know that there's
I
a
hope so.
cost to all this stuff, and we got our kind of financial limitations to options, but
Yeah.
like obviously we need to hone in on clearing that path and what is most directly positively like influential and impacting. And it's probably going to be not even just for Lyme, but it could be for
Oh, it helps with so much. I have sold a
yeah,
couple of machines and stuff to some friends with cancer, and it has greatly improved their journey as well. So it
wow,
definitely there's really not much I don't think that this water can help you with, which is really incredible. So that's kind of where my thoughts were on it too, right? Water. We are essentially our bodies. We are essentially water. So if you
right,
want to see the biggest change in your health, what
right,
would you change first?
wow.
Water.
I mean,
You change your water, it changes everything. That's like the light bulb going off in your head. That's when it all makes sense, right? And it's just you can't think of it any other different way. Like it is that incredible. Like stomach issues, reflux issues, skin issues, like cancers, Lyme, autoimmune issues. Like I've heard like so many testimonies, headaches, migraines, pink eye. Just like the testimonials are unreal with this
wow,
product is unbelievable. So like I said, I was unemployed when I found this. So like you said, the financial cost of everything just ends up being like, okay, so now that I found this amazing thing, how do I get it? Right? How do I get this into me right now? How do I
mm-hmm.
get to try it? How do I get to feel better? Well, in Canada, we're actually super lucky because we have this thing that's a company called Medicare or Medicard, and it gives out loans to people who are going through difficult health journeys. So it's either for like prosthetics or surgeries, even that aren't covered, medical devices, anything in a medical device that you need. They give out loans for or help people with loans for it, which is incredible. So I went online and I filled out the application. It only took like 5 minutes. And on the application, I put, I'm unemployed at the moment, but I am really sick. And I feel like this is going to be a really important part of my health journey. I got approved within 24 hours, which is kind of crazy, but it's because this company has heard of and knows this product and this machine so well. They know that how well it works, that they like, it's just like, it's
Oh,
easy.
wow.
They don't, I filled out the application with Medicard. I didn't even have to fill out the application with the company.
Yeah.
They are in touch with the company so much because of it that they did all that part, like the financing part with the company, which is pretty incredible. And
Wow.
as a side note as well, in Canada, we get tax benefits or tax write-offs for medical devices. So if you get a prescription from your doctor, so I got a prescription from a doctor for electrolyzed reduced water. And I was able to use it as a tax write-off for my taxes last year, which gave me back, I think it was close to like $1,700 or something, which was, and everything helps, right? Like it's incredible.
Right.
So like it's so much better and so much easier and stuff. And I have heard of some people in the States and stuff being able to use their insurance companies. Again, that would have to be like basic, like company specific and stuff like that. I don't
Interesting.
know all of them and stuff, right? So so there is definitely stuff and options and stuff there. So yeah, so I bought this machine, was unemployed. I never got to try any of the water, but I was desperate. I couldn't live the
Right.
way that I was living. I didn't have a quality of life. So, and I couldn't leave or go anywhere else. I got ahead, I got approved for the loan. I got the machine. I set it up. It doesn't actually take very long to set up at all. I think I had it set up within 15 minutes, and started drinking the water. That night, my brain fog was gone. It was just gone.
What?
I almost didn't even believe it. It was kind of, and it's weird that this water is so subtle, but it's also so powerful. So I was just in the process. I think we were moving upstairs. I was talking with my partner and we were in the process of doing something. And I just stopped dead in my tracks. And I was like, my brain fog is gone. Like, if you've ever experienced chronic brain fog, the
Gosh.
amount of pain and pressure that goes on in your head and it never goes away, it brings tears to my eyes to just think about how I was actually functioning in life like that every day
Wow.
before. I can't even, like, it stopped me dead in my tracks. It was just like, my brain in my head felt like it did before Lyme again. Like it didn't, like if I got like,
Wow.
I couldn't even explain it. And I almost was like, it was hard to believe, right? Like you're almost just like, this isn't real. Like this, like it's hard. Like you're just like, wow. Like, and so I was like, that's pretty incredible. And it was like feeling pretty excited. And it was pretty like, I was getting pretty excited. And I was like, hey, this is a good start, right? Like,
Yeah.
but to just that alone to me was worth the price of the machine, right? I was just like, wow. So then I kept drinking the water and stuff. And I also had, of course, what comes with a lot of this is chronic fatigue.
Mhm.
So for months, I was getting up in the morning and with my two young sons, and I'd set them up in front of the TV, and I'd literally have to go crawl back into bed for an hour and a half because I just literally couldn't get up and couldn't function. Well,
Right.
within 5 days of drinking this water, I did that because it was routine by then. And I went and laid down in bed. And then I just sprung up again. And I was like, I'm actually just not tired. Like,
You're good.
I know. I was just like, this is like super weird. And I didn't even have words for it either. But I just like shot up out of bed and I was like, I don't think I need to do this anymore. I think this, like, I
Wow.
think I'm good. Like, and I was just like, wow, like just that
And
alone,
how long
those
ago
two
was
things alone.
this?
Pardon?
How long ago was this?
I think this was 2022.
And do you
So yeah,
feel
so a while
it's
ago.
kind of had that same positive impact with your brain fog and that alone since then?
I've had like my energy levels are through the roof. Like I have more, and like I work I have a 9 to 5. I come to work. I was one of the only ones living with a chronic illness, but I have more energy than anybody else in this building. I have more energy. I drink less coffee. I don't have headaches, and I don't get sick. It's really kind of like incredible. But anyways, so that's how that kind of started. So I was like, this is like crazy. Like this water is crazy. And I was just like so grateful and so excited and stuff. And so like I said, this water is powerful, but it's subtle. So like those two were powerful, but subtle too, right? Whereas it just like the brain fog went away, and then just all of a sudden the fatigue was away, and I just kind of felt better. From the Lyme and stuff, my left side and my muscle pain was getting so bad that in the evening, it was like my hand was cramped and like my pinky finger was kind of locked in. And like I would literally have to sit there in the evenings and like rub out my fingers and my hand, just because the muscle pain, like from the muscle cramping so much, was so painful and so bad. And it was just, it was like a habit. My partner just would watch me do it all the time. He actually thought it was a sign of MS, because like it was concerning to him, because I was sitting there like constantly rubbing out my hand and stuff. And I'd say like within a couple of months that went away. But it wasn't like it wasn't like it was just gone one day. Like, you know, like it was like a week or two later where I was finally like, you know what? I'm not rubbing my hand anymore. It was just gone. Like you just kind of like that's how powerful and subtle the water is. You have some symptoms and some things, but as they go away, they're just gone, and you feel better. And it's like it's just left your memory. You know, like it's in the past already. You're not chronically fatigued anymore. That's the past. That's not you anymore, right? And then so I still had the tingling in my face and in my body, and yeah, like over time that went away too. Like all my tingling is gone now. My muscle pain is gone now. I'm pain free, 100% pain free, 99.9% of the days. Like I have crazy amounts of energy. I jump out of bed. And that's why I'll say too, like I feel better now than I did even pre-Lyme and before Lyme.
Yeah.
Like I remembered being like other people too, and dragging my ass into work every day and being tired and like guzzling back the coffees and stuff like that. I don't do that anymore. I don't need coffee anymore. I've been able to cut that back. Like it's I don't know. It's unreal.
That's where I feel just like targeting with Lyme, we've been targeted in these other aspects to life to diminish. And that's where even the supposed healthiest among us, some seem to like crack the code. Like I used to years back when I was pretty much an avid like Joe Rogan listener, became envious of you know the position he ended up putting himself in, because he just, you know, alpha brain and just all these different products, but he seemed to crack a type of code because he's just alive and engaged in all these things. And I was just envious to an extent, like I'm not there, like not financially and all these other things, just function. And I just feel, to your point, we don't even know we've literally become that hot, or that frog in that pot of water just slowly boiling to death. And like, we just don't even know what point of like suffering we're in to you're able to hop out and you're like, oh my goodness, why was I in there? You know? So that is amazing. Now, was there anything else you coupled with this water that it might have attributed, or that you attribute to assisting you getting well with your Lyme, or is pretty much solely the water?
All water. I know it sounds crazy. And you know what, to be honest too, because I had no idea what to expect with this water, I thought I was going to herx. I was preparing myself for like a couple weeks of really bad
Just
herx, and
hell.
I was going to
Yeah.
do like a water detox, and I was going to be in herx, and I
Right.
was ready and prepared full on to be herxing this whole time, and
Wow.
to not have had, like, to not just be so subtle, and just for things to go away and feel so good so fast. Like I honestly thought that, but from all my research, that's the only way we get better from Lyme. We suffer
Okay.
before we get better, right? Like there's no, that's how you always hear about it. That's how the herx started and stuff. So
Yeah.
I was blown away. There was no herx. And that's why I'll always say
Wow.
too, like how subtle but powerful this water is, right? Because I was anticipating like a couple weeks down of herx and stuff. But no herx, just completely settled, super easy. Things would go away. Didn't even realize till, days or weeks later that things were leaving and gone. Like my motion sickness, my heart palpitations, the dizziness, like I don't know if I even ran through the list of stuff that, the
Wow.
symptoms that I had and stuff, but like things just all kept dropping off the list little by little by little. And then I
Wow.
finally got my appointment with the tick doctor. Like, I think it was 3 months into drinking the water at that time. So not everything had gone yet, but a lot of it had, right? So, it was a phone appointment because it was still during COVID. So he
Hmm.
called and he asked how I was doing, and I was like, to be honest, I was horrible. I had no quality of life. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I was like, but to be honest, I found something and I started doing it, and I feel really good right now. And he's like, what? And I was like, well, I found this water. I was like, I know it sounds crazy, but I found this water, and I started drinking it, and I was like, I just feel super amazing. I was like, my brain fog's gone, my fatigue is gone, my muscle cramping is going away. I was like, not everything else is gone right now, but I was like, but I'm feeling super good. And I was like, and he's like, like most Western doctors, he's like, okay, I'm skeptical,
Mm-hmm.
but he's like, I'm open.
Mm.
So he was like, I need you to tell me more and stuff. And so it turns out like he's actually like he's a rare gem in the Western
Mm.
medical field, I would say, because he's actually interested in natural healing and herbs and tinctures. And
Right.
he's very open. He might be skeptical because of his background and whatever and stuff, but he's open and he listens to it, and like he's definitely is very intrigued and stuff. So yeah, he asked a lot of questions about the water. I just told him how I was feeling and how I felt and how it restructured and stuff like that. And he was just blown away, and he was like, well, I don't want to give you anything. He's like, I don't want to give you anything right now because anything I give you has side effects, and it's going to make you sicker than what you are right now. And I was like, I was just blown away. There's not very many Western medical doctors you'll hear that will even acknowledge the fact that there's side
Right.
effects with their medications, right? So
Wow.
right away, like I really appreciated him
Mm-hmm.
for even acknowledging that was, and acknowledging how much progression I was able to make, and for him to not want to wreck it or to interfere with that and stuff. So he was like, you know what, I don't want to treat you because you're doing much better than what I would be. You're doing better than what I would do. You're doing better than what I could give you. But he's like, but I don't want to take you off my roster. I want to keep track of your progress. And he's like, is that okay? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. Like,
Wow.
I don't even really like at that point, I was pretty sure I didn't want, it was funny because my whole Lyme journey, it was like I was desperately wanting and waiting for acknowledgement and antibiotics. It was just like, I need those antibiotics. I need antibiotics. I just need to get on these antibiotics. And then it got to the point I'm finally in with the Lyme doctor, and it's like, I actually don't want it. At this point,
Wow.
right now, I don't want anything of what you're going to give me. I'm doing better without it, right? So,
Right.
um, so yeah, so now
Now,
it's just been like a progression of just better and better.
well, that's amazing, Roxanne. So
Thank you.
we just to touch on, we've reached an hour and 20 minutes. So we'll wrap things up here shortly. However, there's a couple, I think, important things to touch on. Like, so the actual water you're feeding the machine still happens to be that amazing spring water, right? For you.
For me, no, because I'd have to go pick up that spring water through jugs.
Oh,
So just as a testament to how powerful this machine is too, and I do believe in full disclosure, is that I live in a rural property, so I have well water.
you have
So
well. Okay.
yeah, and so which I still think is better than city and most places and stuff
Yes,
too,
me
right?
too.
So but it is harder water. But even with the
Yes.
hardness of the well water and stuff, it works just fine in my machine. The only water that doesn't work in my machine is reverse osmosis water. And that's
Which is
because that,
crazy. That's what I
yeah, I
have.
know.
That's
I
what I
know.
have. That's where,
I
like, hey,
know.
if people, that's just where I want some people to consider and obviously just bring it up that we, I don't want to set anyone up for failure, right? And
Yeah,
if it takes a certain type of water to feed, like we just so we're aware and maximize potential positive impacts. But you were stating, like, even with an RO, if it was reintroduced with some like maybe trace minerals or something like
minerals.
that,
Yeah. It just has
that
to
would
be, yeah.
bring it back to life a bit
Yeah.
enough to where it would be effective,
Yeah.
the machine structuring it.
Correct. It's just the reverse osmosis, like, and I know, do you know what? A lot of people are very sensitive about water. They like their water. A lot of people have done their own research on water, and a lot of people will argue with me that reverse osmosis is the cleanest water you can find. And I would agree. There's no argument from me there whatsoever. Reverse osmosis is the cleanest water you could find. But what you've done at a microscopic level to that water to get it to that process is you've literally murdered it. You've killed it. The molecular structure of reverse osmosis water is the shape of a pentagon, which is closed, which is as closed and locked as you can get. And when you look at the molecular or the microscopic water drops from living restructured water, it's beautiful, crystalline water. Like it is exactly how water should be. And that's what helps it penetrate our cells better. So, yes, I know it does seem
Well,
crazy,
it'd be
but that's,
nice to
yeah,
see if they did this, because the reality of it is I wouldn't feel comfortable getting this machine that supposedly has a filtration system, but it's just
yes,
not that, I don't know.
strong. It's not that strong. It doesn't
Because
do all
I
the
have
pharmaceuticals and
700
stuff. Yeah.
over 700 parts per million coming from tap. Like there's no way I'm running that tap through there, right? So it'd be cool, to your point of looking at that structure, like if they figured out that algorithm is that, like, yes, you could run the best method for say people, because that's a solution we need to get to. Not everyone has access to well or spring, and
Yeah.
so what is a viable financial solution for people to filter the source they got, to put it into there, to feel just good about it, right? And I think
Yeah.
so RO systems could be that, if yeah, I wonder if they got, yeah, that
It's just a
sorted out. Just
remineralization tank that you could add to your RO system that would
Oh,
just
okay.
re-add the minerals to it. So it's just like a little extra tank you could put to the side. So yes, you can for sure
Okay.
use reverse osmosis water, but it just needs the minerals. So the remineralization of it before it goes through this machine, because
Okay.
it just needs minerals for it to create life. Which is kind of crazy. But I know that a lot of people don't have access to the well water or to reverse
Right.
osmosis filtration system. So what a lot of people do, because the machine does have a filter, but it's a small filter, right? It doesn't do it all, doesn't do everything. So what we recommend is that for a lot of people, they just get like a smaller water filtration system that goes under the sink, and for whatever contaminants that are most in your area. So you do, like you could do some water testing in your area first. There is the EWG, I believe, website, and you can kind of see and look up water contaminants in your area. I believe that's in the States. I'm not sure if it's for Canada or whatever, but I know there's a lot of people who just check up on that website just because they will document, the water quality, however accurate it is. It depends on your your level of believing the government and stuff. But yeah, there are websites where you can check what's in your local water and then gear whatever filter you'd want for that before it goes into the machine. And then the thing is too, it just helps the machine last longer as well, right? So the cleaner and the more filtered water you have going through it, the cleaner and more living water that you have coming out of it, right? So of course. But for me, full disclosure, again, like I said, I don't have a lot of money. So I have straight well water going into my machine right now. I can't afford the pre-filtration. I will be getting a pre-filtration system at one point, and I will be doing it. And but I do know that my machine is taking a little bit of a beating from having such hard water go through it, but I think it's worth it. It's still working, and I'm living, it works for me. It's giving me life still. So like, I bless and I thank that machine every day for what it's doing for me and my family. But I also know at some point I have to give back to it and get a filtration system so it doesn't have to work as hard.
Well, Roxanne, I got to tell you, I can't imagine you, as you described yourself, dysfunctional and brain fog and all that pain, because you sound crisp. You're full of energy. I could see it.
Yes.
And you just look well. So I am grateful that you would set aside the time, come share your story, an amazing product that has had personal breakthrough in your life. It shows you got a big heart. I appreciate that. And I mean, if any of my listeners are like me, I'm now anxious to click those links and check things out and reach out to you further. So with that being said, let's wrap this up. Do you have any other burning desire?
Well, yeah, there's always so much and stuff, but no, yeah, it's incredible. Like, I did see my family doctor while I was really sick before I got into the clinic. And then I did see her 4 months after seeing the drinking the water too. And like, she was just blown away. She's like, you were gray, thin, your face was sunken in before. And she's like, you've got color, you're full now, like you just look and feel so much healthier. It's night and day different. And that's what I keep saying too. Like, it would be criminal not to share this. And that was one of my biggest things was I am a healthcare worker. I was for 15 years, but I feel like this machine and this water is true healthcare, not the system that we were stuck in. And, and that's why I'm not going back into the healthcare. I'm grateful eternally always for the experiences and the things that I was able to accomplish while I was there. But I truly feel like this is the way this is true health here. This is how you get better.
Wow. Well, thank you again for your time. Let me do a quick sign off here and stay on the line because
thank you.
I got more questions. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today. Could this be one of the solutions or like the solution for so many of the things that are hindering us from living our best lives and becoming the best versions of ourselves? Could it be? I mean, let's find out together. And I'm going to try to create some type of affiliation here to see about potentially getting something in rotation. So let me know your comments. Be sure to reach out to Roxanne and just stay tuned because we just want to share as many breakthroughs as we can to help up that resilience. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you.
Thank you.
Till next time, take care.
Thank you.